There you go. And,
No camera.
yeah, and then same thing here. Echo canceling.
Yeah.
Nice.
And speaker will do the echo cancellation.
I agree. And if you make this screen big.
Yeah.
And then do, it's recording, so that's perfect, and I'll trim it later. And then you can share screen to get to all your tabs.
Yeah.
You feel good about this, letting people in and everything? Thank you, sir. Guys, Justin is amazing. Just saying. All right. Probably made it.
All right. You look down, you look up, and there's more faces. Hey. Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, I should say. Right about noon. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to leverage listings for more leads or just leverage listings. I don't think I'm going to have any earth-shattering, groundbreaking new news, but I definitely want to dial in on, definitely some of the things and systems that people have used to try to get the most engagement and activity in their listings. A lot of what we're going to be talking about today does revert back to the open house playbook, as well as the MREA playbook, which is something we've been talking about a lot, which is this one right here. And so there's some interesting stuff in here that talks about listings and how to get the most activity in there. Who here in the room feels, or on Zoom, feels like they do a great job consistently leveraging every listing they have to get the most leads possible? Yeah, okay, I was hoping there'd be an A out there. Anybody on Zoom out there feel like they leverage every listing and get the most amount of leads they can get from each one? A couple heads nodding, shaking no. Okay. All right, so we're in the right place. We have a problem. Not necessarily a problem, but so first and foremost, let me kind of go back for a second here. When we go through what Keller Williams is about, it's not just about selling real estate. It's truly, one, about having the right mindset. Two, having a collaborative approach where we do share and care and help each other. There should be nothing in this room or on Zoom that's discussed that anybody should feel like anyone's going to dissect or pick apart what they do. There's no right or wrong way to do it. That's the beautiful thing about being an independent contractor, is you get to build your business the way you want to build it, and you get to run it the way you want to run it. My goal about having this class today is to truly have a collaborative, open discussion and dialogue about, what are the best practices and how we can get everybody in this room to, one, get the most amount of business they can from every listing they take. I hope we can all agree that real estate is a numbers game. And the idea of any listing is to get the listing in front of the most wide net of people possible to try to find that buyer that's going to have interest in that property. At the same time, listings are your opportunity to have a billboard in the yard. Anybody hear that approach? There's like no such thing as a overpriced listing, because it's an opportunity to have your branding in somebody else's yard. It's a free billboard. But hopefully everyone takes a listing to sell it, right? I mean, our goal number one is that our duty to that seller, that customer, is to get them the most money possible for their home and, get it sold as quickly as possible with the least amount of resistance that's out there. Everyone agrees with that? Okay, awesome. All right, so looking at listings, I kind of taken the listing process and kind of broken into four different spots. The very first subject we'll start talking about is pre-marketing, which means from the time that you have a listing signed to the time that listing goes active, what are you doing in that time frame to try to set up the pre-listing marketing? Then there's active, new to the market. Then there's the under contract, and then there's the sold. Does anybody else have any other important part of a listing transaction that you feel would be a touch point for either the neighborhood around them, or maybe a pool of buyers that you've met at doing open houses? Am I missing a piece in there between pre-marketing, active, new to the market, under contract, and sold? No?
Well, when we have a buyer that goes under contract, we do the same thing, under contract. Even though I had the buyer, it's not my leasing.
Right.
And also when they close, it's just sold, because we help it sell.
Yeah.
So,
So you use, when you sell a listing with a buyer side,
mhm.
you use the under contract and the sold as two ways to post out there and
Yes.
share your story.
Mhm.
Perfect.
And then, with the family, either in front of the house or at the closing table.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the, Fernandez family for the closing of their home. So,
Perfect. See something not working?
Just the blurred background.
I like my blurred.
I know, but people need to be able to see. Yep. There we go. Just unclick it.
What do they need to see?
The room. They
Why?
can't see anyone in the room on the.
That's the idea. It's incognito.
It's an incognito class. Don't need a
Incognito
secret
class,
agent.
yes, exactly. Okay. So let's back up for a moment and let's just talk about, when you take a listing. First and foremost, there's a million different ways to pre-market a listing. My goal is to teach you the way to do it that's going to keep you out of trouble. About 2019, so about 4 years ago, NAR passed a thing called the Clear Cooperation 2.0. And you used to be able to, say coming soon and be able to advertise coming soon listings on Facebook to the general population. You used to be able to put a for sale sign in the yard. As long as I had a coming soon writer under it, you were fine. Well, what happened in October or November of 2019 is NAR said, we have to have a standardized set of rules for every realtor in the country to follow. And basically what that means is from the time that you advertise a listing to the public, you have 24 hours, business hours, to get the listing active in MLS. And so some of the things we're going to talk about today, identifying a specific day of the week that's best to go live, that allows you the most opportunity to do pre-marketing and pre-marketing campaigns. By no means am I trying to tell you to be sneaky, to try to put a listing out there and not let other agents see it or show it or make offers on it. But I will share with you that the Clear Cooperation, that 24-hour rule, leaves an opening that if you decide that on a Friday afternoon, you put a for sale sign in the yard and it sits all weekend with just your for sale sign in the yard, technically, as long as you put it in the MLS by Monday, you have followed the rules. Now, what that allows you to do is allows you to have a unlisted property with a sign in the yard. And if agents are driving by, they don't know it's for sale. They don't know the price because it's not out there. I would not recommend to do it all the time, but I do feel like either a Thursday or Friday launch date for a new listing is going to give you the best opportunity to get the most people into an open house over the weekend, because chances are it's not going to sell between Friday night and Saturday morning when you're doing the open house, or Friday night and Sunday morning when you're doing the open house. So I've heard a lot of people kind of institute that type of just practice. And the whole idea of having systems is that you can do it over and over and over again. It's repeatable. And you have a specific system on how you launch your listings, a listings launch, whatever you want to call it. So part of your listing presentation, when you're marketing to that seller, you're sharing what your marketing campaign is going to be. We'll just kind of cover the pre-marketing part to start off, if that's okay with everybody. So pre-marketing, again, we're talking about following the Clear Cooperation 24-hour rule. What constitutes advertising a property to the public is posting on Facebook, I have a listing coming soon. Doesn't need to include an address. It just is a realtor posting on social media, I have a listing coming soon. If somebody takes a screenshot of that and you don't have a listing in MLS within 24 hours, you can be found in violation of that and be immediately fined, at least in Daytona, $500. If you're in Stellar, the agent that reports you, Stellar sends the agent a notice that says, we understand you're advertising a listing that's not active yet. You have 24 hours to get it into MLS, or their fine's $2,500. So they give you the chance to fix it before they fine you. Daytona fines you before you fix it. So every MLS is a little bit different on how they uphold the regulation, but the regulations across the country. It's not just a Florida thing, a Daytona thing, or a Stellar thing. It is a national thing. So just be very careful in how you pre-market a listing. The other thing that constitutes advertising a listing to the public is putting a for sale sign in a yard. And so if you put a for sale sign in the yard, you have 24 hours to get that listing active. Now, sometimes people use those sign hanging services and you just don't know when they're dropping a sign. So we've had issues in the past where the sign installed, put the sign in the yard. Our agent doesn't know the sign's in the yard. They wait a couple days to list it. And now all of a sudden we're getting flagged from other agents. Hey, you've had this sign in the yard for more than a day. We're reporting you and fix it. So just be very careful if you use a sign installer. If you're not in control of those things, just make sure you're following those things. So I don't want to see anybody get unnecessarily fined. So this isn't an MLS class. I just want to put that out there that pre-marketing comes with very specific rules of what you can and can't do. Now, the other thing that constitutes advertising to the public, one more thing, is doing an email blast. If you do an email blast just out there to your whole database, that is also considered advertising to the public if it's more than one person. Now, if you have a group of specific buyers that this listing will work for, that's different. You can send it to your buyers individually, but you cannot do a mass email campaign saying, coming soon listing next week, contact me for more details. Does it make sense? All right. What was your question?
I have an unrelated question. So what I started doing,
I cannot.
so what I started doing recently, I have started putting my garage sale signs in the ground next to my open house signs. And that's okay, right? There's no rule against that. Okay.
I mean, for sale is advertising for sale. A garage sale has nothing to do with advertising a listing. So yeah, no issues.
And then so I've also been doing the reverse. I had a garage sale recently and I put all my house signs out next to the garage sale sign.
Was a house for sale?
No.
No.
But I did have an open house the next day down the street, but would continue to do that in the future because I mean, it did get people through and I was able to get my card out, but I did it to promote the garage sale.
Garage sale. Was it just like a plain open house or was it like a branded open house with a brokerage logo and everything on it?
Well, I mean, it's the big red open house sign, the VW logo.
Gotcha. I would just be careful doing an open house sign for a house that's not actively listed.
Well, I didn't put it in front of the house. I only put it at the
Right.
corners next to the garage sale sign.
Gotcha. But you were doing an open house at another property in the same,
The next day.
the next
yeah.
day. That's definitely a gray area. So I've just, yeah. You know, everything, when there's ever a question about anything, there's truth in advertising, and that has nothing to do with FREC or real estate. That has to do with actually advertising guidelines. So just be careful that you're being truthful in your advertising approaches. So,
Did you just start screen?
no,
It's spamming.
yeah, we've got a message out on Facebook and everything saying that they're at it again. So,
Right now, and I'm like, I bet he didn't say that.
yeah, Ed took a picture with me and sent it to him. So, yeah. So if anybody else got a text from me this morning, it's not me. I have one phone number. I've had the same phone number for 22 years, and
I told him I was standing there talking
yeah,
to you.
there you go. Even better. Even better.
Want a gift card, LOL?
All right, so we fixed got the background fixed. All right. All right, so any other questions on clear cooperation? We all kind of understand how that works. Now, a lot of times, if you want to do pre-marketing, sometimes you need to do something called an MLS exclusion or an MLS waiver of entry. And so what that's about is that if you're going to take a listing, and let's just say when you go to that listing appointment, the seller says, oh, I want to have the driveway pressure washed. I want to have the landscape cleaned out. I want to have the gutters cleaned. I just want to have our best look moving forward. The idea is you want to get that listing agreement signed so you have a contract with that seller. But if it's going to be a week or 2 weeks before you could actually get it live on the market, you know, most MLS have a 24 or 48 hour rule that from the time you have a listing agreement, it has to go in MLS within this period of time. There is a 1-page form in Daytona, and probably I think it's a 2 or 3 page form for Stellar. It's called an MLS exclusion in Daytona and an MLS waiver of entry in Stellar.
So there's two different things from the point it's advertised and the point the listing agreement is sold.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So you want, so there's all sorts of different marketing, advertising things that are going on out there. Again, I want to teach you the right way to do it. And then if you have a different way you want to talk about it, I'd be more than happy to dissect it with you and make sure that you're not breaking any important rules or, you know, you're not going to get in trouble. And there is no such thing as realtor jail. Just so you know, there's not a jail cell that says realtor on it that you're going in jail. It's, you know, you get fined, you get in trouble, you get your hands slapped, those types of things happen. But just want to clarify, there's no such thing as prison for realtors. There is,
Well,
but you have to break some major rules to actually get thrown in jail for it. So let's talk real quickly. So we have a listing agreement secured. So we know it is our listing. The first thing we're going to say is, you know, schedule an open house for the opening weekend, invite agents to attend and bring their buyers. Why do you think it's important to invite agents to attend and their buyers?
They have to buy.
They're the buyers. What do you think the impact is to neighbors in that neighborhood if you're able to get, you know, even just a handful of agents and their buyers to come to your open house?
Looks busy.
Looks busy, absolutely. So the whole idea of your open house is to create an event that is such a big event that all the neighbors say, wow, we've seen houses for sale all over this neighborhood. We've never seen anything like that before. So it's that wow factor, trying to create a big event, a big opening, attention to it. Alice, you were part of the 72 sold program. I know a big part of that program is about getting as many people into that house in the very early stages of that listing. And I think a lot of that, what?
The first 8 days.
First 8 days. Has anybody ever heard the saying that usually your first offer is going to be your best?
I don't know if that's always true.
It's not always true.
Yeah,
It's
I
not.
really, actually, I don't know at all if that's true. Usually the first handful of offers are like investor.
Yes,
Bad.
yes. Investors have definitely gotten to that point where they see a listing, they just automatically start lowballing offers to see how desperate the seller is to get them under contract, yeah. I think I preface that by saying, I guess the first bona fide offer of a buyer that comes through the house, more times than not, is usually the best offer you get,
Usually in the first 7 days.
Yeah.
usually the first week, yeah. I was on the victim side of that, back the last time we had a big market correction, we listed our house for sale, we'd already bought our replacement house. The first offer we got was the best offer we got, and we waited a year, paying 2 mortgages, having an empty house sit there, only to finally taking $7,000 less than the first offer we received in the first week we listed it. So I can speak from my own personal experience that I wish I would have taken that first offer. All right, so we talked about open house, opening weekends, inviting agents, bring their buyers, creating the flyer to hand out, including your app and your website and QR code, anything you're going to do to make it easier for people to find the information and get to you. The whole idea of this class specifically is again, leveraging listings for more leads. What constitutes a lead? What makes something a lead?
You have their contact information.
Yes, so you have their contact information. So it's great to have a sign-in sheet at your open house and have people fill it out and sign in. And if they're giving you accurate information, great. How many people have looked at that sign-in sheet after the open house ends and you can barely read the writing? 2, there's a bunch of funky names like a phone number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Or there's always the favorite ones that leave the goofy email addresses of go find your own realtor at yahoo.com or something like that. So there's some cool things you can do to lead capture. One is, again, having a flyer that has a QR code that sends them to a forced registration where they type in a name, a phone number, and an email. So hopefully you're getting it that way. One of the tactics we've shared is that offer some sort of giveaway or prize that will be raffled and drawn at the end of the open house. So people are more likely to give you accurate information, because if we can't call you or email you saying you won, how are you going to know that you won? So those are some good ways to try to get people to make sure they're giving you accurate, true information, not just some random information. Anybody ever do that or have luck with that?
I've done it.
You've done it?
I've done it repeatedly, and, I went door knocking with that, the people, it didn't matter to them. It actually didn't matter. I did a $50 Amazon gift card giveaway, and then I did a month of free lawn care, and still no one cared and signed up. But it made more of an impression with the neighbors in the neighborhood, and
Sure.
that made more of an impact than
Awesome.
anything else, yeah.
Part of the reason doing some sort of giveaway or gift away is that it gives you an extra reason to call everybody that came to your open house and follow up with them saying, hey, I just wanted to call and follow up with you. I want to let you know that you didn't win this time, but I'll be doing an open house next week, and at this address, we'll be doing another giveaway. Hopefully you come to that one and have another chance to win. The whole idea of this is to create a way that you can systematically stay in front of contacts and hopefully win them over and gain their trust and for you to want to work with you. If you do the same thing everybody else does, you're only as good as everybody else. If you do something different, it kind of gives you that leg up on that competition. So creating a postcard campaign to the surrounding neighborhood, again, same thing there, offering some sort of giveaway or gift away if they register. So again, the whole idea is what we call a mofer. Does anybody know what a mofer is?
Kind of like a twofer, but different.
So mofer is a make an offer for immediate response, MOFIR. It's like a call to action. You're doing something that you're offering something it's gonna cause somebody to react to it, a mofer. And then there's the whole FOMO, FOMO. What's FOMO? Fear of missing out. So if everyone else is doing something, they don't want to miss out on it. So, get on the horse. So, there's all sorts of ideas out there, and I don't want to sit there and be the creative one that's trying to fill up your head with things you can do. But obviously right now, as we're going into the Thanksgiving holiday season, and then secondly, Christmas and all the holidays are in December with New Year's and Hanukkah and all the different holidays are out there. One of the cool FOMO campaigns they said to do last year is that if you're looking to solicit a neighborhood, and again, you want to be genuine and authentic. But one of my favorite things to do in December is to drive around the neighborhoods and look at the Christmas lights. It's something my family's always done. Me, my daughter and wife always have enjoyed it. And so one of the FOMOs that they did last year was, as a real estate agent, walking into a local Ace Hardware or a local shop that sells Christmas lights and pre-buying 50 strands of lights. And then you send a card out to all your past customers in your sphere saying, hey, I have a passion for driving around the holidays, looking at these beautiful lights. I've already pre-bought your first box of lights. All you have to do is go into Ace Hardware on Granada, let them know you're a customer of mine, and they'll give you your first box of lights. Chances are, one, it's something free being offered, so that customer may go in that business and give them business. Two, chances are they're probably gonna buy something else. One box of lights is gonna get you a silly little 10-foot section. Maybe buy a couple more, so it's helping the business. But third is you're going to ask them, hey, when you do go in and get that strand of lights, please send me a picture. I share a picture of all my past customers and their light displays that they put up for the holidays. And that's just one example of how you can take something and turn it into a bigger thing. Maybe it's your VIP list, but it's a way to kind of just do something different. So, maybe, for the open house, you offer that to people who attend the open house as a raffle for that. Just an idea out there. But the whole idea is you're trying to create a way that you can keep in touch with people with different touches. And it doesn't seem like you're spamming them or, contacting them for unnecessary reasons. Has everybody here heard of the 8x8, an 8x8 campaign? What does that mean to you?
Contacting someone 8 times in 8 days.
Okay. So it's like a daily boom, 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 boom. So it's funny that is said. So, and everybody else has said they've heard of it before. Is that consistent with what you understand an 8x8 to be?
I misunderstood it when I first was like rolling this out, but it ended up being a very happy accident for me. I thought it meant that you need to get in front of those people 8 times before they remember you. So I was like, okay, I've got a sign in the ground, I've got a mailer, I've been door knocking, and that's how I started. So I was like, okay, after 6 or 7 months, they will know me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 8x8, again, it's repetition and it's recognition of your face and your branding.
For anybody that goes in your database, as soon as you put them in there, they go, hey.
Yeah, it should be, upon first entry.
The reverse of that.
Gotcha.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna go meet those people and make sure I get in front of those people I met 8 times. But it worked.
Yeah, it does. I mean, repetition happens, absolutely, but that is the best way to, again, win somebody over. And it may seem aggressive to somebody at first, but let's just say a buyer goes to 6 open houses and, Brandon does his 8x8 and all other 7 or 6 agents, maybe make a phone call or a single text and say, oh, that's a looky-loo. I'm not going to call them again. But Brandon is every day for 8 days getting in front of them. Brandon, with the 8x8 that you do, is it like, 3 phone calls 3 days in a row? Is it 3 texts 3 days in a
We don't
row?
have a standard, that's what we should, but ideally, 8x8 is any kind of contact, or text message, a letter, thank you card, a phone call.
What they're teaching us as team leaders to do in the activities we do is that what happens if you call somebody 3 times? What do you become to them?
Hello, Sam.
You become a telemarketer. You're a telemarketer trying to sell them something. What happens if you send somebody a text 3 days in a row? Again, become a spammer. What happens if you send somebody an email 3 days in a row? So the idea is that you don't want to use the same medium to get your message across. You want to vary it. So maybe day 1's a call, maybe day 2 is a text, maybe day 3 is an email, but you don't want to do the same form because then you either become a telemarketer, a spammer, or if you try to do 3 pop by 3 days in a row, what do you become then? Soccer. So all three of those are bad things. You don't want to be known for any one of those. So yeah, don't be a stalker, don't be a spammer, and don't be a telemarketer. Try to vary up your communication style, to try to fit that. All right, so postcards, again, it's, postcards probably the least effective way, to get in front of people, because what happens when you get a postcard in the mail most of the time, it goes in the trash. Hopefully they're looking at your face as you're throwing it away so they can recognize you the next time you're in the neighborhood. But just understand that, yes, postcards, if you're gonna commit to it, everybody's budget's a little bit differently. So let the pricing of the home, let the size of the neighborhood, dictate, what your mailing is gonna look like. But, if you use commands, it's about 89 cents per postcard mailed, and that's designing, printing, and mailing it out. So, if you have a set budget of $45, you're probably gonna mail 50 homes and try to pick the 50 homes that are closest to, your new listing, to let them know that it's been, just listed, under contract, just sold, so it's your 3 times to touch that neighborhood. Does anybody use postcard circle prospecting mailing in a fairly consistent way? Yeah. And what would you agree with those results? I mean, have you gotten a new listing from a postcard?
Yeah, but it's compound. So I wrote mine down. Ours is we do a postcard, then we do a paid social media ad, then we circle prospect on the phone, then we door knock the open house, then we do the open house, then we send a just sold postcard, then we circle prospect again after it's just sold.
So
But
that,
not one of any of those is not very effective, but all together.
correct. So can you say that again and just slow down a second?
We do, so when we just list something, we do a just listed postcard. We do a just listed paid social media ad, which advertises open house for a week. Then we circle prospect around that open house. We door knock around that open house, then we do the open house. Then after that, it's a just sold postcard, just sold circle prospecting, and that's it.
Awesome.
So what I do for mine, I do mailers. I do just sold mailers, but I do, when I promote my open houses, I go every 2 weeks. I started doing once a quarter, and then I was like, that's not enough, so I was doing once a month, and now that I've been going every 2 weeks to door knock, that has been what has been the most effective. So I'm not doing any social media advertising anymore. I don't even post it to social. When I'm doing open houses, I don't have time. Half the time I don't have time. And last weekend was the 3rd or 4th week, I think, day 24. We had 9 people Sunday and then 4 people on Saturday.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
That's probably the best results I've heard from
it's
an
a
open house
lot
in
of
the last
neighbors
couple
that have
weeks.
been
So
coming too.
good.
But through those neighbors, this is the first house I'm actually getting leads for, like real leads.
Awesome.
So.
Any advice for condos? Cause I just listed one in Aruba's and I need to figure out how to market even my open house that I'm gonna have.
Bulletin board.
That's a good idea.
Put it on
So
the
the
board.
bulletin board, a great way, I think there's probably several other listings in the building, trying to collaborate with the other agents that have listings as well to do kind of like an open house of the building and sharing each other's listings to try to get more activity, more traction to you. I know condos can be difficult sometimes because some of them have secured entry. And so you almost need somebody downstairs and somebody up in the unit as well. So, having the right people there to help you to make sure that they're providing access and they're cordial and they're happy and they're not sitting in the lobby on their phone, not talking to anybody. So, finding the right people to help you with it's very important. Condos, there are 2 different markets right now. We have single family homes and then we have condo townhouses. And as we've been talking about since the storms last year and since the milestone inspections and the whole change of condo law, we had a feeling condos were going to shift a little bit. And we've definitely seen that shift as far as the number of listings, the number of pending sales. And so we've actually crossed the threshold right now that, single family homes right now, there's about 3.5 months of inventory, 3.5 to 4 months of inventory right now. So it's still technically a seller's market. It's under that 6-month medium. Condos have shifted to about 6.5 months of inventory right now. So it has shifted to a seller's market or a buyer's market, sorry. And truly right now, days on market for condos are again, they're approaching, about 160, 140 days. So you are looking about a 4-month timeframe to truly expect before the property goes under contract. So trying to set those expectations early with the sellers is important because otherwise they're going to get very frustrated at the lack of activity, lack of traction. But But condos are a very specialized market. As you know, a lot of them do allow vacation rentals where most homes don't, most neighborhoods don't. So truly trying to appeal to the demographic and the niche buyers that are looking for, maybe a vacation rental or maybe a second home that they're able to.
The Facebook post would be better.
I think so. And there's some really good Facebook groups out there. So if you search in the Facebook groups for like Central Florida real estate investors, luxury condo investor, like they are specific niche groups. Just look for the widest number of people in each one of those groups. There's some groups that have a couple 100,000 people in them that if you just post your open houses in there, you could get some better attention and traction to that too.
Thank you.
You got it. So one thing that I think a lot of people, were doing for a while, and I think Ashley, you just touched on it, creating a unique property video to share the day before the listing goes live. So, I know a lot of people use the photography that the photographer sends you that is like stitched together and it looks like a video, but it's like picture to picture to picture. And some of them are panning left and panning right and then panning out. But truly making a true video walkthrough of you narrating the features of the home, the features of the condo, the features of the community, maybe sharing, how close in walking proximity it is to the beach or the intercoastal, anything you could do that you feel is a, defining trait of that property, getting it on video, because video is more open and more used than if you just put text or pictures into a social media post. One of the things we used to do is we would take the video, we would upload the video to YouTube, and then any leads we would get on the listing, we would send them the YouTube video link. So that way they were getting, unique content that they weren't getting anywhere else. So, video does work. Facebook Live on Facebook works well for Facebook. YouTube video shared to Facebook isn't as good because it's a third party posting a video to Facebook, and Facebook's going to recognize Facebook first. So if you do a Facebook Live video, as you're putting your open house signs out on a Friday night for a Saturday open house, it's a great opportunity and time to try to go live on Facebook and feature the home, feature the property, feature the things that are best about that property.
I don't know how much it costs, but Carl's guy does a great job. Yeah, he does a great job.
I was going to actually share one of his videos because I know he's going all in on videos for, and then they're unique videos. They're not like a classic video. It's him on a roof or, him playing golf, or I don't know what the latest one is. He was really excited for it to drop those.
So what is the thing where you toss the little satchel?
A cornhole? Nice. Again, the idea is to try to truly make your open house something that's different. So if the home has a beautiful backyard and you want to highlight that it makes a perfect cornhole tournament area, and you want to have an open cornhole tournament at the open house, obviously with the seller's permission, hey, make it a cornhole event. If you have a kid that sells popsicles and you want to have a popsicle stand out in front of your open house for all the kids to get free pops at, whatever you can do to truly make it your own and make it different than what the average realtor is doing is going to only help you in the end of your marketing and your ability to promote your brand. So I know we talk a lot about ChatGPT, but if you ever have writer's block and you take a new listing and you're like, what do I write? And you're just kind of staring at a blank screen for a little bit, ChatGPT creates a great platform to just at least start with a template. And so if you say 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in Ormond Beach, less than a mile from the ocean, write a listing description. ChatGPT will create it for you. And then you can just take that, put it onto a Word document, edit it as you see fit, maybe run it back through ChatGPT one more time to finalize it, and then put it out there. You're usually going to stand out to people a little bit more than your average writer is able to write a listing description for. So ChatGPT is a great tool to use for listing descriptions, creating captivating interest. And then the most important part is needing to see the home in person, encouraging people that you must see this home in person to truly appreciate its features, its, ambiance, whatever you want to say there. So make sure photography has a virtual tour for online interest. Consider either staging or doing virtual staging. There's all sorts of different types of packages that are out there now. We do have an inside company called Design to Sell. That is a KW agent owned company out of Orlando that they will work with you on doing virtual staging for your property. And actually they work with you on a buyer's package. So if your buyer wants to know what this furniture will look like in this house, they're able to work with you and make the home look like what a buyer wants it to look like to see if it will fit, what they want to use it for. Yeah, some people do buy homes for their cars. I've had a buyer, the very only thing he would do in a house is take his tape measure into the garage and measure from the back of the garage to the garage door, because he has an F-350 crew cab that's like 26 feet long. There's not a lot of garages that fit a car that big, just so you know. We found a side entry garage in Plantation Bay they ended up buying a home in, but there's not a lot of homes that fit that size car vehicle, so just. And then there are people who buy homes for their furniture, believe it or not. It's kind of interesting. You think you buy the furniture for the home, but they do buy the home for the furniture. Oh, look at that. Rick put it. Rick, is that the video?
That's the one where he's playing golf. I think that's one of his best ones.
Right on. Has everybody seen that one? So just to show you real quickly, we'll click on this one. Thank you, Rick.
Yep.
In Palm Coast, Florida. We are here for an exciting tee shot from real estate agent Carl Lillavoy behind his new listing at 60 Cooper Lane. The tension is high. The audience is ready. The anticipation is building. Let's listen on the action. From the fairway of this incredible golf course to the elegance of this remarkably updated home, welcome to 60 Cooper Lane.
A little different.
We are back here on the 18th for the breakfast in Realty. As listing agent Carl Lillavoy has a decisive eagle play to determine the winner of this match. Join us as we watch this high pressure moment unfold.
So again, a little bit different than your typical listing video. It does allow him to kind of show some of his personality. The whole idea of putting anything out there on the internet is to, connect with people. And if I was a golfer, I was looking for a home in a golf course community, that video would probably attract me a little bit more to that listing and that agent than just a standard real estate video tour of a walkthrough of a home. So don't be afraid to put your own personal spin on it. I always wondered, I love surfing. I have not been able to surf in a long time, but I always wanted to do like a surfing video that had to do with like an oceanfront property. I just never had an oceanfront listing of a home myself to be able to surf into the beach and walk up the stairs to go home. But I always wanted to do that. So anyway, if you have something like that, don't be afraid to play with it a little bit and be yourself and share your personality and get out there. Because the biggest thing with being online is just so hard to share who you are. It's one thing to say it, a lot of times we sound robotic. We don't feel comfortable behind a camera. But I think Carl did a really good job with that one. So take anything from it. That's one thing there. So a 3D virtual tour. How many people get that with every listing that they do? Does anybody use a photographer that like throws that in for free, or is it always an add-on feature? It's always an add-on. So one reason I would say to do that, it was obviously very, very important and popular during the pandemic when you really couldn't travel and view homes, and having that 3D tour that you could actually literally walk through the home and kind of look at every different angle from the house to see if there's anything wrong with it was important during that time. But I'll share with you a lot of the other third-party companies out there that advertise listings for us. So, the Trulias, the Realtor.coms, the Zillows. If somebody's not specifically looking for that listing address, so unless they're looking for 123 Main Street, if they just type in 32118 for, let's just say, Daytona Beach, and they're looking for homes for sale in Daytona Beach, the way that these third-party websites figure out which listings go at the top of this list without looking, they look for 3D tours, they look for open houses. And so by doing an open house and posting an MLS, by putting in a 3D tour, it increases your chances of being on that landing page for that zip code, not just the property specific itself. So that's how the Zillows determine. If I went to Zillow today and typed in 32118, most of those listings that pop up either holding an open house this weekend, or they have a video tour. Obviously, they're new to the market. So days on market, a video tour, and your open house are your three big determining factors on how does that listing syndicate out to those bigger sites. You know, we talked about the best day to make the listing. Anything else on pre-marketing? Does anybody else do anything out there with pre-marketing that we didn't discuss that you want to share? Covered it all? No. Does anybody, well, hopefully you do it before you actually take the listing and agree to a price, but like, let's just say a seller is being very unreasonable about what their home's worth. Anybody have a seller like that? Someone maybe here there? Let's say a seller is just adamant that my house is worth $600,000 and you're looking and scouring the comps and you cannot find anything that says it's worth more than 550. Does anybody have a good strategy for working with that seller or trying to get them to see reason other than arguing with them and beating them over the bat before?
I will take them to
Yes.
see competing properties.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you actually take that seller and say, hey, here's the three most closest properties to resemble your listing. I included this in comps. Let's go look at these homes and see what you think. Right?
Yeah, we've had a few come on market either a day before, a day after, that were like identical. So it really was an eye opener because they were able to walk in and see, wow, I need to now do such and such with my house.
Yes.
Like the AC, when they saw the condition of that person's AC, they were like, now I see why I need to make sure mine looks clean.
Mhm.
So they went, her husband cleaned the whole outside, painted,
Yeah.
actually painted around the unit so it looked like just, you didn't notice it when you came.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Anybody else?
My strategy is more conversational. Right, I'm showing you, I'm beating you over the head with facts, and you're still going, okay, right? I said, well, listen, I'm not got a pricing, I can make a mistake. We'll try it at your number. If we get crickets in return, then the problem is pricing, we're gonna need to reduce the price. And I'm gonna come back to you with that conversation again when it happens. Are you in agreement with that? Yes, great. No, then well, maybe that's not a good fit.
Awesome. All right. All right, so we've pre-marketed, we've done everything we can to pre-market. Again, to what Ashley said, part of, the 7th level open house. I think I put that somewhere right here. I don't want to go into this playbook per se, but like if you truly want to have a huge turnout of your open house, this is a great playbook to follow. And it does talk about, door knocking, 20 on the one side, 20 on the other side, and 30 across the street. So you're getting in front of your neighbors. Maybe even saying things, and we'll talk about this during active on the market is, announce the open house to the neighbors the day before, maybe even offer a private neighborhood preview. So if your open house is going to be from, 11 to 1, maybe from 10 to 11, you're opening the house privately for just the neighbors, not neighbors. So they feel exclusive that they have the opportunity to see the home and maybe they have a family or friend that wants to move and live close to them. So door knock in the neighborhood, giving them the flyer for the open house tomorrow and making sure that it announces, neighborhood exclusive preview event or something like that to make them feel, again, special, like a VIP. Also door knocking the neighborhood the day of the open house, just to let them know, hey, I just want to let you know I'm hosting an open house today. Please feel free to come to me if there's any problems with people parking. I don't want anybody parking on your lawn, but if you have any issues, I want you to come to me. I want to be able to handle that. And I don't want anybody to disturb your beautiful property. Something, compliments go a long way. Courtesy goes a long way. Going to show you're not going to be that standoffish realtor. And yes, there are those out there that will argue with people. But just letting them know you want to be somebody who comes from contribution, that you care and you want to make sure that people are happy and that the neighbors are not, put out of the way because there's gonna be extra traffic in the neighborhood that day. Any reason you can have to go around to the neighborhood and just share that you're doing an open house and, please come to it. Continue social media campaigns, announcing the new listing in the open house, driving people to your website for registration, hosting the 7th level open house. Again, lots of signs, balloons, creating that unique event, that wow factor. Again, confirm with the county or the city for ordinances for sign placement. Obviously, if it's an HOA, sometimes an HOA won't allow you to have open house signs in the neighborhood, but maybe right outside the neighborhood on the main road that goes by the entrance to the neighborhood. Maybe a way that you do it. If the home is in a gated community, Who has some good tactics for dealing with gate guards? Does anybody bribe the gate guards with candy or food? It works. Works. So there's been a few times I've done open houses in Plantation Bay and Pelican Bay. Now Pelican Bay, has anybody here done an open house in Pelican Bay?
I've been to one.
So you need to pay them $1. So you have to pay the gate guard $1 and give them their open house flyers that has the map to your open house. If you don't pay them $1, they don't give out your open house flyers. It's just that's the rule. Solid. But I do know, like, going to Plantation Bay, making friends with the gate guard there, letting them know you're doing an open house event. If anybody else comes looking for an open house, here's some flyers for you with a map to get there. And by the way, I'm offering, whatever. Here's a plate of whatever I'm serving. I know it's hot in this guard gate today. Enjoy, beverage and food on me today. Food goes a long way. That gatehouse is usually a pretty lonely place to be, and there's usually not a refrigerator in there. So if you're able to, do something again that other people aren't doing, the whole idea is to make yourself different, offer that extra level of service, and it does go a long way. And how many people do you think that guard gate talks to that maybe you're interested in maybe listing their home? And if you win over the guard gate, if you win over the gatekeeper, what do you win? You win the neighborhood. So getting in with the HOA. What about if you're doing an open house in the neighborhood that has new construction still going on in it? Does anybody go to their model home or the sales office and share information with them? No? Yes, no?
I've actually done an open house at a new build,
There you go. That's a good one. So getting with the builder and seeing if you could do an open house for them.
and they worked with me.
Yeah. A lot of builders, they don't staff their model homes 7 days a week. There's a lot of builders that have their model home closed 2 days a week. And if you're able to win over the relationship with them and say, hey, I'm a professional realtor, let me help you, you help me. I need to be out there meeting customers. You can't sell resales. Can I become your preferred partner, your preferred, realtor in the neighborhood? I live down the street, whatever it may be. But if they're building new homes still, you want to understand what the builder's offering, because a lot of times a builder right now, especially right now, is offering incentives that a resale can't offer. They're offering to buy down the interest rate. They're offering to give big buyer incentives for closing costs or upgrades in the home. They're offering the realtor a full commission plus a $5,000 selling agent bonus. So they're laying out the red carpet for us now. So it's important for you to realize, what is the builder offering? And if my home is listed, am I competing with new construction? Because if I am, how are we going to compete with that? And having an open dialogue with your seller about that too. So all things to consider. So, yes.
So, and just another piece when it comes to the builder and the guard gate style, you've got to win over the guard gate, but when winning over the builder, a lot of times if you win that builder over or the site agent for the builder, they have a lot of people that come through that may not be able to qualify for one reason or another for a new home, and potentially can qualify for the home that you guys are listing. I've had a few times where I've done an open house and I've won over the site builders, and before I left, I brought all the leftover food, drinks, everything. Because remember, the site builder, yes, they have a fridge. I mean, it is a house, or the site agent, sorry. But think about the fact that when you go into a new home construction company or a new home construction area, they have to have water in that fridge for people. They can't have food and Cokes and all that, because that just doesn't fit the look they're going for. So if you bring them food, because remember, they're stuck in that house all day, win them over, there's a good chance, and I've had it happen, where they'll say, hey, I just had somebody who came through and they didn't quite fit the mold for this, but looking at your information here, it looks like it may work for them for that one. And they will gladly give over the information because they can't do anything beyond that builder. You can. So bring them food, bring them drinks, bring them a gift card to Starbucks or Grubhub or whatever. And eventually that person will be your best friend. Go in and just say, hey, from time to time, dropping by to say hi, going to a listing appointment over here. And they're going to be one of your biggest supporters, because here's the other part. When people are ready to sell, some of them don't know to look for a realtor. They will go back to the site agent and go, hey, I don't really know what the process is, but we're looking at selling our home. Can you guys help? And they're going to say, no, we can't. But we have a friend of ours who can help you.
They give me free food.
Exactly.
Thanks, Rick. One other thing, just to Rick's point, a lot of the preferred lenders that work for builders are very strict in their lending standards. They're not like your classic mortgage broker that has a bunch of different products at their disposal. They're usually focused on conventional loans, and they're very strict about what they will approve and what they won't approve. So if you have an opportunity to meet with a builder, let them know that you have creative financing ways that can work with around different issues. I'll share with you, I had registered a buyer with a new builder. They were using the builder's lender and the title company to get all the different benefits they get from discounts on purchase price and free incentives and stuff. And my buyers quit their job in Massachusetts, moved to Florida, and in that time, the lender declined their loan because they had a gap in employment. Well, of course, they're moving from one state to another. They're staying in the same business, but the builder's lender denied them the loan. And so here they are in their moving truck from Massachusetts, about an hour out of Boston, and they get the phone call from the lender. We can't do your loan. You have more than a 30-day gap in your employment from one job to another, which was what their criteria was. So I got on the phone with a couple different lenders, and lo and behold, all one lender needed was a letter from the current employer saying, yes, this person has a job. They're moving to Florida. It's the same field. And that's all my lender needed to get it approved. And they matched what the builder's lender was going to do as far as customer incentives to get it closed. So you can be that savior of a transaction sometimes, when a builder runs into trouble. So, just getting into relationship with builders, understanding what they need and what they're looking for and what you have to offer. Again, a great opportunity to get more activity, more business. And then, if you're providing solutions to buyers that they have, they may be more, again, inclined to send them to you, because a lot of people walk into a model, not understanding that builder can't help them sell the home they need to sell to buy the new house. And so if they have a sale of buyer's property contingency, but they're not working with a realtor yet, if you have a good relationship with that builder or that spec home model salesperson, chances are you can win the referral of getting that listing. And now you have a nice listing to list. And, you may not have the buyer side because they already went to the model without you, but at least you're getting some business from that model as well.
And this is also a really good way to, portray to the sellers when you're going to a listing appointment and listing their home. Oh yeah, I know Tanya at the front. Yeah, she sends me people in here all the time that potentially can't buy through their lender, but I've got a plethora of people. So going through your relationships and showing them that you're not a secret agent, but that you're out there in the community goes a long way. Because I promise you, I know all the builders, all these site agents that sell directly around me because I bought from them. I see them all the time, and showing them that I have a relationship with these people goes a long way for that seller to realize, oh, okay, I have somebody who's known in the area.
Thank you. So as we go from active listing to under contract, under contract again is another great way to announce to the neighborhood that you have the property under contract. You could, if it's a win that it was, only listed for a week, and you're beating average days on market, definitely share your wins with that. Creating a social media campaign to announce the properties under contract, adding it to a newsletter or some other form of advertising, showing the status for as many people to see as possible. Again, it's free to email. A postcard campaign to the neighborhood, ask the seller for a testimonial and share it to their database or share it to their on their social media. Again, continue to do the 8x8 campaigns, letting the customers know that have attended your open house that the home's under contract. Are they still looking? Maybe you could set them up on a search for similar properties for them to see. Again, all of this is about creating those touch points that you can have with your people that you've met at that home or before. Anybody else use anything for under contract as a way to get across their database or?
I did. I did do under contract, and then we came back on market.
So I felt like it was, I felt like I'm not gonna do that again because I feel like I jinxed myself
Gotcha.
by doing that.
Sometimes people wait for like the inspection period to come and go before they announce under contract. Oh, really? And it still fell through?
Appraisal, yeah.
It was short on appraisal?
No, it passed appraisal, the buyer, the sale of their condo fell through.
Gotcha. So you see that a lot of times of, property back on the market, buyers financing fell through, or, you see a lot of times trying to, again, push it off that it was nothing wrong with the property. It wasn't an inspection or appraisal issue. It was buyer changed their mind, buyer's financing fell through, whatever it may be, but yeah. All right, well, the best 4-letter word we like to use in this building is sold. So let's talk about sold. So we have gotten to the end of the listing process. Hopefully we've filled up our database with people and they've been tagged that they attended that open house or that listing, so that way we know where they came from. But again, the same things happen for sold. So we want to get on social media, share that the property's been sold, create a postcard campaign to go around the neighborhood, ask the seller truly for a testimony at that point, because that's going to be the happiest they've been. And then, a lot of people do, understand that a real estate transaction is a collaborative approach between you and the other agent. I've seen more and more often sharing, property just sold, thanking the agent on the other side and tagging them in your post. So not only going to your database, but now it's going to all their people too. It's just an extra way to increase your exposure on social media, and you're truly sharing it together. If there's a home inspector involved, or there's a mortgage lender involved, tagging them in the post, thanking them for their work. Sharing is caring. And so the more people you can include in the success of having this transaction go from listing to sold, and crediting your partners that were involved in the process is going to be a win for them. Maybe they're sharing it now on their own personal stories. And so you just get better exposure. The whole idea is to, again, get this across as wide a reach as possible, to get them to the end. Again, tagging the seller, in the database is appropriate. So, when we get to sold, I really, really hope, and I think I know better, that everybody in this room understands that's just the beginning of your relationship with that customer. So when you've sold their home, or especially if you work with a buyer and they've bought the home, if you're on the buyer side, that should really set up an opportunity for you to enter that property address into your command account. So that way it tags the neighborhood. Now you can set them up on a monthly neighborhood nurture that you can see what's happening in the neighborhood. But with a seller, why do you think it's important to make sure your seller is still in your database? They're moving out of the area. Maybe they don't have anything to. Yes. What is it? Referrals. Absolutely.
Taking a lot of referrals of people that they know that are moving,
Yes.
or friends that they left.
Correct. Friends, neighbors, or that they've left. No, definitely.
And not only that,
Go ahead,
they're
Marianne.
gonna sell again in 5 years or so.
Average. Yes. So average, they're probably going to sell another home, and you want to be top of mind for them as well. I have heard crazy things come out of people's mouths sometimes. Like, I thought the closing was the end of our relationship. I haven't called them since. I almost have a panic moment when I hear that. Like, really? Your business partners, your allied resources, those people that you're in business with, that you give. So like, how many people here recommend an inspection company? How many people here recommend a lender or two? How many people here recommend a plumber, electrician, a roofer? So what's important is that you're giving them business. Do they understand it's a two-way street and that you're hoping to get business from them? How many people have ever had an inspector recommend you as a realtor? Anybody? It's rare because inspectors usually are after the fact. They already have a realtor, they're inspecting a home, but I've had an inspector recommend the brokerage I worked for an agent who wasn't happy, that was absolutely slamming their own brokerage and said, I can't stand it, I need to find something else. And the inspector's like, you need to call Justin. So having that relationship with your partners helps you, one, for customers, but also helps you in your own field with peers. So if you have a good relationship and you treat them right and with respect, there's nothing wrong with asking them for business, especially lenders. Right? Lenders, there's a lot of lenders that get somebody that comes to them and they're just wondering what they could qualify for. They haven't even started looking. They don't have a realtor yet. So, again, creating that relationship with lenders too is important. Always come from value in these customer touches. The idea is not to cold call somebody saying, hey, you ready to buy or sell real estate yet? I hope nobody cold calls like that. Hopefully you're calling with some sort of informative piece of information out there. So you can, come from a place of contribution. Brandon left a little bit early, but I will share with you, Brandon, has had such high success with for sale by owners because he meets with owners that are selling the home by themselves, not asking for the listing. He just gives them true advice on what he would do if he had the listing and to call them if they need help with anything or have questions. Usually after the second, third week that's been on the property and they've been blown up by realtors saying, hey, wonder if you'd be willing to list the property. Give me a chance to list the property. Let me list the property. Oh, I have a buyer. And they show up. Oh, you don't have a buyer. I just want to list the property. Like there's so many agents out there that give us a bad name. Be somebody who does it the right way and come from a place of contribution. Hey, notice your primary photo for your listing is blurry or it doesn't portray the best first impression. You mind if I have my photographer come by and take a new fresh picture for you and I'll send it to you tomorrow? And how many for sale by owners are getting that offered to them? I mean, maybe there are more now, but come from a place of contribution in that manner.
The last house that I sold I basically called him and said, hey, I worked up a CMA for your house. Can I go ahead and send it over? So I sent that ahead of time so that he had that. And then he ended up listing the house with me. We went under contract and we listed on Monday, it was under contract by Thursday. And then once he sold that, he moved and he called me and said, hey, can you write me a loan for 110? Because I don't have enough money to do what I'm going to do. Sure. Okay. So I did that. And then I went and popped by and visited the lady that bought the house because she's a widow. Her husband was a military guy and he died. He retired from the military, was so excited to start spending time with his wife, and he just died within a year. And so she moved down here, and so sat and talked with her for a while. And those relationships are important,
Absolutely. No, thanks for sharing. Now, just out of curiosity, when you did the CMA, how was the CMA price you were recommending versus what he had it listed for?
We actually listed it. We were right on the same level with the pricing, and we sold it at list.
Awesome.
Price.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job. Were they trying to?
More of them.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Need more of them like that.
Well, there is a very good chance that, things are, they have slowed down throughout as the years gone on. Interest rates rising, buyer demand slowing down a little bit. The seasonality of where we're at right now, going into the holidays, going into Thanksgiving, this is historically a slower time of year, at least until we get kind of through, the week of Christmas. There are some people, December was always one of my busiest months, but a lot of times it's because I've been working up to that point, and just there are a lot of people that for one reason or another needed to buy a home in the current tax year because they needed some sort of deferment of money or needed to do it in the same calendar year. Rick just recommended that, again, tag everybody who's involved. Blue Ocean, Bank of England, Keller Williams Florida Partners. There's over 4,000 followers who wouldn't see your post otherwise. So just making sure that you're including our business affiliates in any social media branding that you're doing to try to, again, increase your reach and exposure for your posting. The other thing, just again, to talk about it is your follow-up. What is your post-closing follow-up? So, you have your listing, you sell your listing, hopefully if you had the buyer side, you're checking in to see how it was for their first night in their new house. Maybe you're doing a 1-day follow-up, a 1-week follow-up, a 1-month follow-up, and then maybe a 1-year follow-up. But it's important to ask them, how they're doing, because you want to continue to be the real estate resource, even though the transaction closed. Now with a seller, a little bit of a different communication, but just checking in to see, did everything go the way they wanted? Maybe ask for, again, a review if they haven't given you a review yet, do a testimonial. But then just ask them, where are they headed to? And if they haven't figured out where they're going yet, you want to stay close to them, because again, it's an opportunity for a referral to refer business to somebody else if they're moving out of the area or out of the state. But don't let your relationship end just because they leave Volusia County.
I had a buyer and he bought a little mini farm and they gave him all the chickens. So I went back with egg cartons and gave the egg cartons to him and spent some time to see how they were settling in and all that.
Nice. I'm sure he appreciated that.
He did. We're buds now.
Buds now.
He told me he'd move a chest of drawers for me if I needed it.
Awesome. Anybody else have any good follow-up tactics you have when you sell a listing with the seller? Does anybody give a closing gift to the seller when you sell their house?
I do.
What do you usually do?
Wine.
Wine,
We
champagne,
had,
wine?
Celebrate.
We had Sarah paint, you know, how she does her paintings, we had them paint the first home, it was basically the home that they sold. We had, it was like their forever home, we loved it, they outgrew it, so we had them, or had Sarah paint that house and then gave it to them, and that was in their living room.
Nice.
That was kind of personal.
Awesome.
So I had one with, their big thing was their dogs, and so I did like a 6-month subscription, so that for the next 6 months, they got a package for the dogs.
Oh, that's cool. So always pets hit those heartstrings. So yeah, if you have a bond with the animals, for sure, that helps.
They've invited us out to dinner and.
Does anybody use, trying to remember the name of it, but there's a company that basically does personal marketing service, PMS. So PMS is an interesting company. They are national. I believe they're out in Nebraska, but they're at every realtor convention. And what they do is at closing, you send PMS the customer's information, name, phone number, address. And what they do is for the next 5 years, they send them a quarterly magazine that's all branded to you with your face, name, and brand is on the cover. The very first mailing they send them is a sheet of self-mailing labels with their name and their new address on it and welcome home. So we have found, Beth LaPointe uses them regularly. There's a few agents in our office that use them, but it's called personalized marketing service. And again, for $25, the fact that they're going to keep you front of mind for the next 5 years, to me, is invaluable. I mean, you can spend a lot more money than that.
Our preferred lender in Georgia, they do that for you, if you close with them.
Nice. So that's a lender service that your lender offers to you.
They give you that.
Nice.
So their information on ours as a team.
Co-branded.
And it's co-branded.
Awesome.
They do it.
For 5 years too, probably they use the same service.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's all sorts of people. If you don't have the time or energy to do it yourself, I mean, $25 for 5-year drip nurture, receiving, materials is very valuable.
Is there one down on A1A? I pass a sign there when I go to work out in the mornings, it says PMS on it.
Probably a different PMS. Yeah, this one I think is out of Nebraska, and they do the whole country, so, yeah, I have some of the materials in my office if you were interested in it. Another thing a lot of people do with that American Lifestyle magazine, I haven't had the best personal experience with them, but what they'll do is, I think it's for $99 a month. They actually have a very nice, glossy, thick stock magazine that's very professional looking, that I think for $99 a month, they'll send you, I think, 20 magazines a month, and you kind of subscribe your 20 VIP people. If you have like a doctor or a dentist, having one sent to their office to be sitting on their, in their lobby is a good thing because it's all branded to you. It's got your phone number, your picture, your name, your information, but it looks like you've done this elaborate magazine. It's called American Lifestyle, is the name of that company.
So what was the negative experience you had?
I had agents who paid the $99 and their account was never created, and 6 months later, they refused to refund the money. So it was just, I think it was part user error in that scenario. But I was upset enough as the broker that I called them and raised heck, and they didn't do anything for me either. So I haven't been gung ho about it, but if you have a VIP list of, 20 to 100 people that you want to send a really nice magazine, it's one of the better things out there. And it's not like you're, creating the content yourself. It's all pre-made and ready to go. There's actually in the middle, there's like a little tear out recipe card. And on the recipe card, it has, again, your name, your logo, everything on it. So there's even little tear out pieces. And there's I think on the front and back, there's also a tear out business card. So it has the magazine and you're throughout the magazine, but then there's pieces that you can tear out and it's still branded to you as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Anything else out there in Zoom? Anybody want to add anything or chime in?
I think yesterday, for people who wasn't here yesterday, Sarah teach us how to create a page in Command to register people in the.
I will show you that right now. Check this out. So if you have your new website, which is, they did relaunch the new websites. The new websites look like this. But if you're on the new website and you pull up any listing, So, what's the address of somebody's listing, active listing right now?
2722,
2322.
Melanie, Melonie Trail, New Smyrna Beach.
Speller room?
I'm looking at it.
It's 27, 22?
2322,
2322.
Melonie.
Yep.
Interesting.
Hit search, it sometimes pops up, mine does the same thing, I don't know why.
There it is.
All right, so here it is. So I pull up this listing, right? So I've got the listing open. So on a single property now. Now, if I wanted to host this open house, I just go up to the very top, they call this a URL. And at the very end of the URL, I just type in /open house and hit enter. And what that does is it recreates this page as a registration page saying, welcome to Melanie Trail. Enter your first name, last name, email address, phone number, and click OK that I'd like to have Justin Falb contact me about this listing. And they hit submit. This data goes straight into command and they're tagged with this property as where they came from. So instead of having a sign-in sheet, if you have like an iPad at the front door and you have this page set up, it's basically a landing, it's in place of a landing page. But all you do is type at the end of your listing /open house, and it creates a way that people can automatically register immediately on your property. One, it shows you you're tech savvy and you're a tech agent. Two, it keeps you from having to do data entry of trying to decipher the hieroglyphics that people sign in as, and they go straight into the from the website. So there's a couple reasons.
Function that it checks the phone number and email.
Huh?
It checks the phone number and email, make sure they're right.
Yeah, so if they give you a wrong email, a wrong phone number, will say invalid.
Won't let you go any further.
It won't let you go any further.
Yeah.
Now, could you
Interesting.
use that URL, like this page, for a QR code as well?
I would imagine so.
And then
I would check with Sarah on that one, but I would imagine so. Yeah, so if like you had a flyer with a QR code here and they scanned it and it could take them here, yeah, that'd be ideal. I think you can do that, but definitely double check on that one. Awesome. Anything else out there? Thank you for sharing that, Rich. Appreciate it. That's good stuff. Well, awesome, guys. Well, it is a 1:10, 1:12 on Thursday. So hopefully you got your lead gen in this morning. I made all my phone calls. I made 32 phone calls this morning. I had 8 people answer and I booked 1 appointment.
Awesome.
So I'm tracking my activities.
You asked for gift cards too.
Huh?
You asked for a lot.
That was not me texting this morning, just so you know. No, not me. So this class is a wrap. I'll go ahead and let that go. I do want to take a second. I was going to create a video this morning and share it with everybody because we have such a good turnout here. I just want to share with you what I've been given to share based on the facts of what just went down earlier this week. I was on CNBC yesterday morning on their business news, and they were talking about buyer agent commissions. I was on MSNBC on Morning Joe, and Joe Scarborough was talking about his buyer's agent and how he's been working with him for 2 years. And he calls him every time of day and night, and he answers, and he's worth every penny he asks for. But I just want to share with you that the national narrative out there is getting more and more loud that sellers no longer have to pay buyer agent commission. That is the story that's being shared in the regular news. And there's truth behind that. So I just want to just be open and honest with everybody that there is going to be more questions on when you take a listing, do I offer buyer agent compensation? And now what the beautiful thing is that everybody here is an independent contractor. It's up to you on how you want to run your business and what you want to charge for that business. But I will share with you that in the 100 years that the National Association of Realtors has been around and been tracking this stuff, when an agent, when a seller and or a buyer use a realtor, it is sold for a higher price, sold faster, and is a smoother transaction when both parties are represented by a realtor.
You have a graph for that, or do you like?
NAR does. So NAR.realtor, if you go to their website and look, they do have some graphics that address that. But I'll share with you, you know, they came down to this lawsuit was heard by jurors, and the jury deliberated for 2.5 hours. And after 2.5 hours of deliberation, they came down and ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, saying that buyer's agents make too much commission. That was the argument. Buyer's agents make too much commission. And why does the seller have to pay for it? Because in essence, the buyer's agent is negotiating against the sellers with the way it's portrayed. First and foremost, the base of the claim is false. And the fact that they're trying to say that buyer's agents and seller's agents are conspiring together before a listing is taken to agree to a price that would be worth having a buyer's agent come and show the property. I've never had in my 13 years in real estate had that conversation with another agent before I took a listing. I talked to the seller, we talk about the commission, and then we go in the listing agreement and it says, how much are you willing to pay a buyer's agent? And we have that conversation. So first and foremost, I just want to be very clear that the best thing you could do is don't ever send a listing agreement via DocuSign and say, hey, look at this, sign this, and let me know if you have any questions. Please review each piece of that because it's very important how we describe how commission flows. And the thing is that there are a lot of buyers out there right now, VA, FHA, USDA, that they don't have an extra 3% sitting in their bank account or their pocket that they could pay to be represented in a real estate transaction. So if you talk to a seller at a listing appointment, they're adamant that, no, I'm not going to pay that. I saw the news. I don't have to pay that. So that's fine. That's your decision. Everything is negotiable. What I would recommend to you in that scenario is that, you know, if you're willing to take the listing for 3% commission and you're not offering a cooperating broker any compensation at all, at least at that moment, have the discussion with your seller saying, listen, I know you want to sell your house. You're listing it with me. But if no buyer can offer their agent to be paid to represent them, most likely that buyer is going to contact me directly. And I don't work for free. So in the scenario that I am representing you as the seller and a buyer, how about we agree that you pay me 4% commission? So now it's almost like in the past when you go to a listing presentation, you say 6%, 3%, and then if I have both sides, I'll do it for 5%. Everyone's done that before, right? A lot of people do. This is almost reverse thinking that and saying, okay, I charge 3% as a listing agent. What you pay a buyer's agent is totally up to you and it's negotiable. But I will share with you right now that if a buyer contacts me directly and they can't pay me, I don't want to not sell your house.
I might be taking them to see a different house at that point. Because for 1% more with all the hoops, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
It's your decision as a
Now,
business.
Most of the houses are gonna be not offering, then you're.
I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I don't think.
The way the news is selling it, it is
think-
everywhere. right
Yes,
now.
and I think that is the scenario.
I'm gonna be eager to now go look and start to see how this is gonna begin playing out over the next couple months.
So when you put your listing agreement together, you would put, I'm paying 3 and 1 goes to the buyer?
If that's what you're
If
offering,
I'm
and
on
that, if you're doing it for 4, you put 4 and then 1 goes to the buyer. If your seller says, I don't want to pay a buyer's agent at all, that's okay now. It's negotiable. It was not okay. Before you could not put a listing in MLS without putting a number in there as far as compensation. It could be $1. So we're really talking about the difference between $1 and 0 is what really just changed. But the idea is that if you are going to represent a seller in a transaction, making them understand, like, again, as the listing agent, right? So I'm the listing agent and your own seller is not willing to pay a buyer's agent. Are you going to do both sides of the transaction for 3%? So how are you going to sell it?
You don't wanna sell it?
You don't wanna sell it?
Oh, this is gonna be something that I need to sit and think about.
That's why I'm talking
The
about
problem
it.
that I'm having now is that a lot of buyers, they can't afford the price point anyway.
Right.
So without a seller concession, they're
Yeah.
not gonna buy the house
Exactly.
anyway.
Exactly. And that's the next conversation to have. It's not willing to pay a buyer's agent commission in the MLS. At least get them to think about, if I have a buyer's agent willing to make a full price offer, are you willing to pay 3% concessions to the buyer so they can afford their agent?
Well, that's right now pretty much part of every conversation I have with
Yeah.
people who want to sell is already prepared to do a concession.
So it's an interesting situation we're in right now. And I just, again, I wanted to put it at your forefront. So I'm going to share with you what Keller Williams shared, because Keller Williams was one of the defendants. So Keller Williams and NAR were in this lawsuit. And so they found the plaintiffs in favor of the plaintiffs. So they ruled it was $1.78 billion is the settlement, or is the awarded. But they then awarded triple damages, so $5.8 billion is what Keller Williams and NAR owes in this class action lawsuit right now.
What was the
Now-
basis for the damages? Did they say the basis for the damages?
That sellers paid too much in commission.
So it's true.
Antitrust,
Okay.
yeah, that they were conspiring to inflate the commissions received by sellers on their real estate properties. Well, that's what basic. So what does this outcome mean for agents? So let's hit that one up. So every buyer and every seller benefits from having a real estate agent. The value of agents is the lifeblood of our company, so much so that we're in the place where entrepreneurs thrive. And we have never and will never tell agents and business owners what to charge. It's up to the agent to decide what to charge for their services and how to run their business, and this will never change. So that's coming straight from the top of KWRI. Like, no one is trying to tell anybody, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's up to you on how you run your business. What is cooperative compensation? Cooperative compensation refers to the practice of listing agents offering to share part of their commissions with buyers, brokers who bring a willing and able buyer to the table. This practice benefits both sellers and buyers. How will we support agents through this time? Nothing has changed right now. Our ecosystem and mission is where entrepreneurs thrive. We support the independence of agents in making decisions for their businesses and consulting with their clients to negotiate their commissions, including offering to share commissions with buyers agents. How do we advocate for fairness in the industry? We are dedicated to fighting for what is fair for consumers and for our Keller Williams independent contractors and the industry as a whole. Nothing is more important than agents being transparent with their clients so that there's a level playing field for all involved to make informed decisions. Can I still give cooperative compensation? Yes, that has not changed. Even though the ruling's been handed down, both NAR and Keller Williams will be appealing this ruling, and I'm sure it's going to probably go all the way up to the Supreme Court. How does this rule benefit both buying and selling agents? Again, cooperative compensation helps swiftly sell homes at a competitive price and helps increase the pool of buyers. Agents want to help people fulfill their dreams of home ownership. Could the rule eventually be eliminated from all MLSs that are affiliated with NAR? We don't know if and when that will happen. Again, some MLSs have already modified their rules to prevent listings to have offers zero to buyers agents. Will the verdict change agents' expectations in doing business? While it's possible listing agents in the future may no longer be mandated to offer cooperative compensation to list a home, it's anticipated that most listing agents and their clients would still choose to offer the cooperative compensation to buyers agents. And again, your value as an agent is how you continue to make a great livelihood. You still have the business to run. So don't let this ruling affect the way that you do your business. And then what are the potential consequences of buyers not have brokers representing them? If buyers don't have agents who can represent their interests, there may be fewer home buyers because they may be intimidated by the process or may need to save longer to afford representation. Having fewer buyers in the market with less buying power will definitely hurt home sellers. So this lawsuit really, it does not come from the place of the consumer. It really comes from home sellers who feel they paid too much in commission. This lawsuit was never put out there in the buyer's interest. This harms a buyer. It harms a consumer. And so the whole idea of this is that, your marketing plan should include compensation out there. And then to your point, actually, the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington State, and you're licensed up in Washington State, right? So their MLS changed a year ago saying that you don't have to offer compensation. Less than 1% of listings a year later aren't offering compensation. So it's less than 1% of all listings in those MLSs have changed. So to your point, I don't think it's gonna be widespread, but the way the national media is grabbing onto this story and the way they're sharing it, like I literally heard last night at NBC Nightly News, I'm talking about, buyers agents make too much in commissions. That was their story.
The last deal I had, to save the deal, this agent gave the buyer $4,500 because they had to pay off credit card debt. They were already getting concessions from the seller. And so we had to delay with this closing, and he just took the loss. I mean, the guy made almost nothing.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that kind of scenario. you'd be so screwed.
Yeah. So I don't want to scare you. I just wanted to share with you where this fell and what Keller Williams officially is saying about it. We are in a good place. We are surrounded by professionals who have been doing this for a long time. Don't let fear dominate your actions. Be informed, be transparent, and, you know, again, understand that everything in a real estate contract is negotiable. So just be willing to listen, you know, communication, seek first to understand, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, why is it important to you that you don't feel you want to offer a buyer's compensation out there? And then be able to have that counterpoint back of, you know, history shows when both parties are represented by a realtor, that it's a smoother transaction, the property sells for faster and for more money. And that is over and over and over again, the way that the real estate industries work. There's not another, you know, Rich, you and I talk about a lot. There's a lot of other countries out there that sell real estate that is not nearly the process that is here in the United States. And we've always been propped up as like the beacon of light of how an open market for real estate works and how it benefits the consumers and it benefits the sellers. Just think, if there is no standardized MLS for us all to enter our listings into, what kind of piecemeal service you're gonna have to offer, you know? Rich, I don't know if you want to share your story. So when you go to Colombia,
Yeah. if you want to know what's for sale. We visit Colombia, and we visit one market center in Bogota, the capital. And it's amazing. They don't have an MLS. The way they look at the market is they send people out there to the city. They walk every single block and they check for signs. That is for sale. That is for sale. That is for sale. And then it's okay. We have 100 properties for sale. Then they go tomorrow again and they check. Oh, now I found 89. Okay, we sold 11. And day after day is what they do. So as you can imagine, is, you know, it's crazy. And actually, the companies who do that, they sell that kind of service, the data. And even the commission between different brokerage, you have, as a brokerage, you have to have an agreement with the other brokerage. Hey, we have an agreement with such and such. If you want to do business with them, you know your commission is okay. But if you do with another company, we don't have an agreement. So it's up to you how you get paid. So it's crazy, of course. But imagine buyers in that situation, they don't have any kind of representation. And so it's a mess.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end this Zoom.